Hello there, welcome to another episode of World of Tanks with Gaiety Titan, and we're here on Malinovka in the Tiger 131. It's a pretty strong tier 8 battle on both sides have a lot of tier 8s, although we have, I think, one more tier 8, but they have, two more tier 7s, and then we've made up in tiers, the balance is made up in tier 6s. Interesting. Anyway, the Malinovka, well, I think the hill is one of the decisive spots in Malinovka. However, I don't think the Tiger, unless it's top tier, and it depends on what else is there, it's not necessarily the most suitable tank for the top of the hill. Now, a lot of people reckon the Tiger is potentially a very effective medium tank, but it is and it isn't. I don't think it has the view range to operate as an independent medium. It needs to be with other tanks to be really effective as a support tank. But I don't think the top of the hill is a good location for it, because the enemy have a lot of heavy tanks, that, especially top tier heavy tanks, that are very well armoured. There's a lot of IS, there's an IS-3, there's an ISM, there's a Defender, there's a Trinity, which is medium but reasonably well armoured tank, and even the Object 416 is pretty effective actually going up that hill, because you're shooting, you stay in the low ground, you let the enemy, our team, basically come to the top of the hill, and then you shoot them uphill, and you're shooting into the vulnerable spots, into the lower front plate and things like that. The other thing that I've noticed is that we are very weak on the western flank. We've got effectively one tank on the field, and he's a heavy tank, so he doesn't have the view range, so he can be shot at by people outside his view range. Ideally, that light tank coming up to the cap circle should really be out there around C1 to spot for the heavy tank, and for myself as well, so that I can support that heavy tank. There are also enemies attempting to push up through the lake, although we're pushing pretty aggressively down through the lake as well, and seem to be getting away with it. So I thought, right, I better get off the high ground up here, because if I'm spotted on a Tiger, I'm just a target, and get into the more lower ground where I can limit the directions that I can be shot at from. And initially I'm going to support the guys in the lake, because that's the most critical part of the battle right now. If we win control of the ice lake, then those light tanks are free to exploit south, and they can spot very deep into the enemy rear zone, so that would enable the rest of us to support them, or to choose what direction to advance on even. So we've pretty much cleared that area out, and I thought, right, now I don't have a line of sight in the 416, but there are 3 other tanks supporting the two, the medium and light that's down south, and it's about time I gave assistance to this guy here in the field. Now, if the AMX 1375 gets around behind him, he's potentially in trouble, and we take him out. And it's just a tank now down in the field, which is the Trinity, so we know where he is. And he's in the open field with myself and the other heavy tank together, and maybe the tank destroyer. Should be able to finish him off without too much trouble, as long as we can get him before he goes into cover. So I'm going for the tracking shots. Must try and really get into the habit of going for tracking shots a lot more. It looks like if I ever will get to 3 mark the Comet, it's something I'm going to have to learn to do, is to be effective at doing tracking shots. So anyway, we've got him, we've kept him in the open. We got the kill shot, but it was a matter of luck. Somebody was bound to, he was taking a lot of fire there. Now, I've been spotted, I'm under fire, it's time to put some distance between me and whoever's spotting me, so I'm going in a direction that's effectively away. And when we're no longer spotted, we can take stock of the situation. Now, it looks like the enemy are going to win the hill. However, that IS below in the village seems to be suspiciously alone. Not certain that he's alone yet. So I'm letting the light tanks make their run before I decide which way I'm going to redeploy, because it's either go push hard on this flank, clean up the IS, clean up the 2 tanks near the cap circle, and push against the guys in the hill, or turn around now and support the defense of the base. But it looks like the IS is in his own. And if the IS is in his own, it's well worth clearing out this flank, because if we clear out the flank, now we've room to maneuver. Our team has room to retreat. We don't have to just die in the defense of the base. We can actually retreat, maneuver, and make use of the range and firepower of some of our tanks. Now the IS isn't going to see me coming down here across the cornfield, and I'll be able to get around the corner, and as soon as I'm engaged with him, then the light tanks will be just able to close in. There he is. Actually, light tanks had him nearly finished off, so I got the kill shot. And around the corner we go, and it's just straight after the two guys down near the cap circle. So at the cap circle we have the AMX AC-45, and probably won't penetrate the frontal armour of that tank without shooting weak spots, which is probably problematic at this distance. But there's the 416, which we can put rounds into, because the shots are actually lobbing into the engine deck on top rather than hitting the sides. And he's taken out of the picture, and it's now the AMX has taken damage since I saw him last, and he's turned sideways so we can put a shot into the rear of the side of the tank. And it's him out of the way, so we've now cleared the corner. So now we're the ones kind of with the whip hand, really, because the enemy are the ones closed into one quadrant of the map. They didn't basically come down off that hill in time. Leo's, well, he was in theory vulnerable to my fire, but I didn't manage to land a shot on him. And here's the other thing too, that mistake I think the enemy make. And the Leo kind of typifies it there, because the Leo is one of the tanks on the hill. If he's the first one to appear, he appears on his own, and he's kind of in between everybody. I think the remaining tanks on the hill make a big mistake here. They should have, again, gone wholeheartedly for the defense of the base, so that they're all together with the ISM now on his own again. And on his own, he's not going to do it. But if he had support, whereas the other two tanks have gone for, and there's a tank destroyer still unaccounted for. So if the other two tanks have gone for in our cap circle, and the tanks destroyer is not visibly in support either, I think if all four of them had gone to the cap circle, they'd have been able to put cap pressure on us. Now we're already in the cap circle against them, so we would have won the cap race. But or if the other four of them went all out to come this way, who knows, they might have actually managed to do it. Now I'm here firing against the ISM, and I fire very ineffectually. I actually bounce an awful lot of shots or shoot them into the tracks or whatever. I don't think I actually realised in game that I had a potential Radley Walters medal there, that would have been my 8th kill. In some ways it's just as well, because that knowledge like that, when I realise it in a game, tends to really up my stress levels. But I'd probably been a little bit more careful or a bit more aggressive to make sure of my shot and secure that kill if I had realised that it was. As it was, I was just trying to preserve my tank to get more shots in later in the game, so that I'd continue to have an influence in the game. I have a lot of respect for the gun on the ISM. We're in the cap circle, we're putting pressure on our tank destroyer up north, but the thing is, it's too late at this stage. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tanks alive. 4 of them are pretty close, all of them reasonably close to the cap circle. So the IS-3, he's not going to survive, and I'm not going to get there in time really to have any influence on the battle. I could have stayed back at the cap circle and get a few capture points for myself, but then we might not have killed all the enemy tanks. Let's see, well, there's a Borsig coming over the top here, and he's wiped out most of the health of the IS-3, and he's going to be followed by another tank destroyer, which is probably going to be able to put rounds through the IS-3, and somebody finishes off the IS-3. I don't know if it's the Borsig or the Plague Bringer. And it's just the, whatever it is, T-28 prototype in the corner. And again, everybody's going to get there before I will. I might just get to see the tail end of the fight. But we're going to close in as fast as we can. Any extra damage will always be welcome. And it's last shot out. So we fired. Don't know whether we hit. We didn't get the kill anyway. 2174. We got a victory. And let's look at the final results. So the results screen is coming up now. We got 71, nearly 72,000. 7 destroyed, 2,387. Oh yeah, that might not have been a hit on the T-28. That could have been a hit on was one of the Centurions. There was a tank earlier on at the very start around the lake where I blind fired and I got a damage ribbon, I think. But I didn't get any damage result. I think there was an earlier blind fire that I had done where I did some damage, but that doesn't get added on live during the game. It only gets added on at the end. We got number 2 by experience, and it's interesting that a tier 6 tank got number 1 by experience. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a like and a share. Feel free to comment. If you have not already done so, please subscribe to the channel. I will catch you all again soon. Bye for now.